Pump House Lake. That again, this was an interesting learning curve really for winter carp fishing. So every winter we used to fish. We used to fish the Winter League on there, and you'd have an angler, one on the Silverfish Lake, one on Ash Lake, and then you'd have an angler on the small satellite lakes. Now, one of these lakes, I forget the name of it. One of it's probably, I don't know, 16 metres, 80 metres wide. So bearing in mind, if one or two are fishing more than 8-9 metres across opposite each other, you'll be touching poles. And that gives you sort of size of the lake. You can only fit 3 on the lake, I think, from memory. This lake is absolutely solid with fish. Now, bearing in mind, I was only 15, 16. Didn't really know much about fish behaviours, thermocline layers, and all the stuff that we take for granted now. I never forget the match. We were sat, there's 3 of us around the lake. I think Gary Thorpe was opposite me. Can't remember the angler, the other angler on the lake. The lake was frozen solid, and this was a tradition every year at Alders: break the ice, break the ice. Icebreakers come out. I haven't seen a better icebreaker than Gary Thorpe, by the way, if he's watching. Anyway, finally got fishing. As I say, fishing 6-7 metres out in this small lake. 2-3 inches of ice left still in parts of the lake, but it's little pockets you could fish. Anyway, 4 hours passed, no one could get a bite. Absolutely no one could get a bite. And it was at that point, I remember shouting over to Gary, Gary, have you had a bite? No, not had a touch, not had a touch. And it was at this point, really, that fishing commercial carp, for commercial carp fishing, particularly in winter, even drawing on them. Now, someone at some point on that lake was on a stackful, an absolute stackful. In fact, your rig couldn't have been much more than a foot away from a fish. 100%. This lake was absolutely stuffed with fish. I think in the summer before the winter, we had a match on the satellites. I think 3 people alone in that lake caught over 600 pounds, 200 pound a piece. So that shows you how many fish are in such a small area. But it was at that point really that I started to think, do you know what, there is more to fishing than just turning up and catching fish. And Alders Farm really has played a massive part in my fishing from a really, really young age. And I thank Gary Thorpe, Trevor, Lee Ripper. I hope he's still around. I haven't seen him for years. And he was really the introduction of introduced me to pellet fishing, really soft pellet on the hook. And that's something now really that I've brought into my fishing at Monk's Lakes. For those that know me, I fish Monk Lakes a lot of expander fishing, a lot of pellet fishing. And all these things were learned at Alders. And I still get asked a lot now around elastic choices and line choices. I think Darren Cox done a video a day or so ago on line choices and elastics. And what I would say is there's only 2 types I use pretty much when the summer comes. So probably not quite yet. Probably in another couple of weeks into early May, right through then to October to my white acres fishing. Now there's two elastics I use. The 2.1, catch that there. 2.1, absolutely done everything. All my open water fishing is done with that. And some edge fishing, believe it or not, I prefer a softer elastic for my edge fishing. There's slightly bigger fish, or some snags and things like that, and then I'll step up to the 2.3 Carp Fighter. That's literally the 2 elastics I use. I might use a slightly lighter one, the 1.8 we do, if there's smaller F1s and things like that. But generally the go-to is the 2.1. Float patterns, literally all I use is the DC C41s. Absolutely fantastic floats. Catch them there. So that's a 0.2 and a 0.4 in those. For all my edge fishing, just specifically for my edge fishing. And my go-to float pretty much in 18 inches, 2 foot 18 inches or shallower is a 0.4, and the whole point of that is to keep your rig stable. I remember the days back at Alders Farm actually, back to the days where I first started fishing, I'd be fishing a 0.1 for 0.1, a foot of the depth, 0.2 for 0.2, you know, 2 foot of the depth. And looking back, how wrong that was. 0.4 bulk, 4 inches from the hook, and that pretty much does all of my edge fishing now. It's really, 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 really simple. In terms of the main line, pretty much 020, Super G power, maybe 018, and this just gives you the versatility really of fishing light hook lengths, but also gives you the benefits of fishing a stiffer main line, which I think makes a big difference. So that's kind of a little bit about, I didn't really want to talk about kit as much on this video, but it was more about sort of where I've come from as an angler, which particularly at Alders Farm, and also then reflecting on where you've come from as an angler, and how much it sort of, these last few weeks has been really important in terms of making sure our kit's right and things like that. But I thought, personally for me, I think it's allowed a lot of reflection on where I've come as an angler, where I've started, where I'm continuing my fishing, and obviously to reflect on the people that have allowed, I suppose, that to develop